Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, faculty, staff, you may be seated. It is my pleasure to welcome you all today to the opening convocation ceremony of fall 2018. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge with respect the Onondaga Nation, the indigenous people on whose ancestral lands we now stand, gathered here this afternoon to celebrate your entry into Syracuse University College of Law as an auspicious group of people. Let me share with you who many of those are in this room. Seated in the front are distinguished alumni of the College of Law, including the chair of the College of Law Board of Advisors, Mark Malfitano, the president of the Syracuse University Law Alumni Association, Amy Vanderlyk-Digert. Seated in the white chairs at the front of the courtroom are members of the College of Law faculty and staff. Our student mentors are here as well. These are students in the JD classes of 2019 and 2020 who have volunteered their time to help you during this transitional first year of law school. Seated to my right is Dean of the College of Law, Craig Boyes, Syracuse University Vice Chancellor and Provost, Michelle Wheatley, our convocation speaker, Paul Dimo, and College of Law Vice Dean, Keith Bybee. Of course, the largest group in the room is the incoming Juris Doctor class of 2021 and the Master of Law class of 2019. Welcome. And last but certainly not least, we're joined by the families, friends, and other guests of the incoming JD and LLM classes who are viewing this ceremony via simulcast upstairs in the Levy Atrium. Welcome to all of you.
Good afternoon. Let me add my welcome to everyone here today. The opening convocation ceremony is just one part of a rich set of traditions here at Syracuse University College of Law. Convocation is first a gathering to celebrate, welcome, and express our pride in the incoming JD and LLM student classes, whom we've carefully selected to join the diverse community of scholars at Dineen Hall. We're glad that you're here, and we want to make you feel at home. Second, today's ceremony gives you just a hint of what you have to look forward to in the celebration that will occur less than 3 years from now for our JD students and less than a year from now for our LLM students, when you'll walk across a stage in a setting that is similar to today's and receive the diploma for which you will have worked so hard. It may seem like that is a long time away, but I can guarantee you that the 3 years or the 1 year in the case of LLMs will fly by. So, who is this class? Who are you? Let me talk a little bit about the LLM class of 2019 and the JD class of 2021. Altogether, there are 227 of you, 34 of you pursuing LLM degrees, and 193 pursuing JD degrees. Of the JD students, close to 60% of you are women, and just over 40% are men. So guys, you're outnumbered, and that's going to be life for the next 3 years. 12 of you are relatives of Syracuse Law alumni. 66 of you are students of color. 8 of you are veterans. 46 of you are first-generation college students. 10 of you are members of the LGBT community. Amongst you, you speak 18 languages. 4 of you are in the 2-year JD program. 10 of you hold master's degrees. 8 of you come from countries outside of the U.S., and those include Canada, Chile, China, El Salvador, India, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, and Singapore. You come from 28 different states, including 84 of you from the state of New York. Now, among the LLM students, you hail from 21 countries outside the U.S., including Brazil, China, Egypt, Ethiopia, Gambia, Georgia, India, Indonesia, Kosovo, Madagascar, Namibia, Pakistan, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, South Korea, Spain, Sudan, Syria, Ukraine, and Zambia. Let's have a round of applause for that kind of diversity. As you know, our LLM students are already lawyers. I think sometimes we lose track of the fact that you are licensed in your own countries to practice law and are adding to your credentials with your study here at Syracuse. But amongst, again, the LLM students, you include an equal representation of men and women. 9 of you are Open Society Fellows. 4 are Fulbright Scholars, one of whom was a Rhodes Scholar. We have 1 Prestasi Fellow and 1 Kosovo American Education Fund Fellow. And we also have a robust group of federal prosecutors from Brazil. As I contemplate the diversity of this group of students, I can't help but note that this last weekend marked the anniversary of the white nationalist rally that ended in death and violence in Charlottesville, Virginia last year. You, our students, as well as our faculty and staff at the College of Law, come from different racial, ethnic, and national backgrounds from all over the U.S. and around the world. We differ in our gender, sexual orientation, religion, socioeconomic backgrounds, our family circumstances, whether we have a disability, whether we are veterans, how we were raised, how we view the world, the life challenges that we've faced, and in many other ways that are hard to see on the surface. Because of these differences, we have much to learn from one another. At Syracuse University College of Law, we are building an inclusive and welcoming community where the differences that we each bring to the institution are valued and celebrated and will enrich your educational experience. And so there's no confusion. I want to be crystal clear that we have a zero-tolerance policy for acts of hatred and bigotry at the College of Law. Indeed, a collective commitment to inclusion is one of the core strengths of this university. In a campus-wide message last December, the Chancellor put it this way: we care deeply about our students, embrace all individuals, listen to diverse viewpoints, respect differences, and empower all members of our community to succeed. At Syracuse University, we remain firmly rooted in these values. 2 people will be helping to lead our efforts to build an inclusive community here at the College of Law. They are faculty member Professor Suzette Melendez, who is our Faculty Director of Inclusion Initiatives. And I'm particularly pleased today to be able to introduce to you Sarah Collins, whom we have just appointed the College of Law Director of Student Affairs. Sarah, would you please stand? Sarah has a JD from Albany and comes to us from the St. John Fisher program at Onondaga Community College. She will be the primary point of contact for our students. She will serve as the liaison between college administration and our student organizations and coordinate and oversee student services. Sarah has not even officially started yet in this role, but she wanted to be here today and will be at the picnic on Thursday as well, so she'll have an opportunity to meet her. As you begin the serious work of preparing for a career in law with those seated behind you, in front of you, and on either side of you, I ask you to commit with me to take the time to really get to know one another. And let's learn from our varied experiences and how they shape our perspectives. I also ask that we make space for important, hard conversations and give each other the benefit of the doubt when we have them. This is how we can contribute to a constructive way forward and is also crucial to the strength of our community. Today's ceremony is special because it involves some of those who preceded you as students here at Syracuse University College of Law. This year, over 20 of our remarkable and successful alumni have carved out from their very busy and demanding lives a time to return here to their alma mater, and not just to attend this ceremony, but also to spend time tomorrow working with you, sharing with you their knowledge and experience as seasoned practitioners of the profession to which you aspire. For their time, for the financial support that they provide many of you through scholarships, and for their dedication to the success of this law school, we are profoundly grateful. And I'd like to ask alumni who are in the room to please stand. There will be more tomorrow. I think the weather, and by the way, we ordered sunshine. I don't know what happened. We're going to be looking into that. Some of our alumni are delayed, but they will be here tomorrow, and we're looking forward to some great programming with them. Next, I'm pleased to introduce Syracuse University's Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and Provost, Michelle Wheatley. Provost Wheatley joined SU shortly before I arrived. Her background is in the sciences. She's a biologist. And prior to coming to Syracuse, she served as provost at West Virginia University from January of 2010 to June of 2014. She's a passionate proponent of inclusive excellence, promoting access for and the success of women, people of color, people with disabilities in the knowledge economy. It's been my pleasure to work with her over the last 2 years, and I'm now delighted to bring her to the podium. Provost Wheatley.
Thank you, Dean Boys. Good afternoon, everyone. As Vice Chancellor and Provost, and on behalf of the entire university, I am delighted to officially welcome you to Syracuse and to the start of your graduate studies at the College of Law. And welcome back to those among you who are continuing at the College of Law after completing your undergraduate degree here. The College of Law will be your academic home during the time here. But I want you to know that you also are very much a part of our larger campus community. Syracuse University encompasses 13 schools and colleges, including the College of Law. We are an international research university, typically drawing undergraduate and graduate students from all 50 states and more than 100 countries. And they are here to pursue studies that span the disciplines and professions. At Syracuse University, graduate study is a fundamental part of our institutional mission. As the university's chief academic officer, I applaud you for the academic success that you already have achieved and for your decision to pursue advanced study in such a demanding and vitally important field. Your presence here speaks not only to your interest in the law, but more broadly, to your commitment to hard work, determination, stamina, and passion for learning and discovery. During your time here, you will tackle coursework that intersects with critical global and societal concerns. You will have the opportunity to pursue scholarship that helps generate new knowledge and understanding, and to put theory into practice in ways that serve unmet needs in the community and beyond. You will be rigorously challenged and informed by outstanding faculty who are accomplished legal scholars, practitioners, and thought leaders who regularly contribute to the national conversation on pressing issues of the day. They also are dedicated teachers and mentors. They are here because they want to share their passion, expertise, knowledge, and wisdom with the next generation of practitioners and scholars, and to inspire them to strive for excellence in a profession that undergirds our most fundamental principles of democracy. You also will learn from one another. Syracuse University is a vibrantly diverse and inclusive international community of scholars, and our students bring multiple perspectives, belief systems, cultural traditions, and life experiences to the classroom and to campus life. We treasure that diversity because we believe it fosters intellectual and personal growth, empowers students of all walks of life to achieve their full potential, and prepares all of our students to thrive as citizens, professionals, and leaders in today's richly diverse workplace and world. I know right now everything feels very new to you. There are new routines to establish, new friends, classmates, and professors to meet, new coursework to master, new surroundings to navigate. But let me assure you, the time will pass very quickly. So I urge you to make the most of it. Take advantage of all that the college and the entire university has to offer you. You will be better for it, and so will we. I wish you all the best on the academic journey ahead. Thank you.
As I mentioned a moment ago, our alumni are highly engaged with their alma mater. They are rooting for your success, and I want to encourage you to introduce yourself to them. They are the potential mentors and coaches that Bill Henderson talked about earlier, being able to help you close that success gap in your professional careers. One of those alums is Paul Dimo, an ethics lawyer at one of the world's largest firms, Aiken Gump, where I once worked prior to joining the academy. Paul, before he became a lawyer at Aiken Gump, was a lawyer at Nixon Peabody, a firm here in central New York. And I'm sure Paul remembers the day that he sat at Convocation, perhaps as nervous and excited as some of you may feel, although he had the advantage of having been an undergraduate here, cum laude graduate of SU, so he was familiar with Syracuse's places, traditions, and of course, winter. Just as I'm encouraging you to do, Paul took full advantage of what the college has to offer. And for Paul, one of our strengths was the interdisciplinary study of national security law, which he undertook at both the law school and the Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs. Paul worked at the Maxwell School's National Security Studies program, and he earned a National Security and Counterterrorism Law certificate. That academic journey was a launching pad for what is already a remarkable and still young career. It's taken him to the Aspen Institute as a fellow, to the 2016 Democratic National Convention Committee's Office of the Chief Counsel, to the New York State Bar Association's Committee on Mass Disaster Response, and to the Board of Directors of Kidogo Early Years, a Kenya-based early education not-for-profit that he helped found. Paul's fearless journey shows just what Syracuse students are capable of, and I hope you draw lessons and inspiration from it. I think of him as one of the first friendly faces who is only too happy to give you direction as you set out on your own path. Please join me in welcoming this year's Convocation speaker and member of the class of 2008, Mr. Paul Dimo.
You all will have to excuse me. I'm feeling a little sick today. I have a little cold, but that's all right. I'm going to get through this. So bear with me. I don't know if you can feel it, but there's something special about this moment. I almost don't want to ruin it by speaking too much or talking too soon. I kind of just want to sit in the moment and let it all sink in. Kind of reminds me of how I like to start most of my days, where I'll go upstairs to the rooftop in the building where I live, and I'll sit on the rooftop in silence. And before you can hear anything, for a brief moment, as the sun's rising, there's a small window of opportunity where you can kind of just sit in quietness before the traffic starts below, before the horns start, before the people start going to and fro, before you can hear the construction workers or the cranes going or the banging. There's this brief period where you can kind of sit in silence and settle in the moment as you anticipate what's about to come. Kind of like this. There was a 19th century poet who once wrote a poem called The Builders. And this is what he said. He said, "All are architects of fate, working in these walls of time, some with massive deeds and great, some with ornaments of rhyme. Nothing useless is or low, each thing in its place is best, and what seems but idle show strengthens and supports the rest. For the structures that we raise, time is with materials filled, Our todays and yesterdays are the blocks with which we build. Truly shape and fashion these, leave no yawning gaps between, think not, because no man sees that such things will remain unseen. In the elder days of art, builders wrought with greatest care, each minute and unseen part for the gods see everywhere. Let us do our work as well, both the unseen and the seen. Make the house where gods may dwell beautiful, entire, and clean. Else our lives are incomplete, standing in these walls of time, broken stairway where the feet stumbles as they seek to climb. Build today then, strong and sure, with a firm and ample base, and ascending and secure shall tomorrow find its place. Thus alone can we attain to the Tourette's where the eye sees the world as one vast plain and one boundless reach of sky. The poet was Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and some would say he was writing about building our futures. He was writing about making the most of ourselves and contributing our talents to the world. He was telling us that we ought to build our futures where with each hour that we live, where each day was a block that we laid down as we built up the parts of our lives. Now, of course, I didn't come all the way from Washington to Syracuse to talk to you about poetry, but I thought it would be helpful in setting the stage for why we're all here today. We're building something, and the building blocks of what it means to be a lawyer are being laid and beginning today, and they're going to be the foundation of your careers for years to come. So where should we begin? If I could get you to do one thing as you start this journey, here's what it would be. Try to contextualize this experience, to not view it in isolation or view your time here at Syracuse Law as insignificant, but find meaning and inspiration in the larger context of where we are as a society as you begin to take on a role in leading us where we need to go. If you think about it, every day we wake up. Some of us will have our coffee, some of us will have our tea, some of us will do our yoga, some of us will lift weights, some of us will read, and some of us will meditate, and I'm pretty sure all of us will check our phones. And then we get dressed and we go out into the world, into a system, into a framework that's governed by the rule of law. And that framework is constantly being challenged, it's constantly being tested. It's going through this continuous renewal process, if you will. And I think it says something about each of you that you've chosen to become a part of it. Think about it. You all have taken the LSAT. You've applied to law school. You've gotten in. Some of you have taken out loans. And you've showed up here on day one. For what? Also, you can take on the role that's going to shape the lives of everyone around you, including the folks sitting up in the atrium. If that's not admirable, if that's not inspiring, I don't know what is. As you begin this process, you may not fully appreciate how important your role is, but understand it's very significant. Try to contextualize this experience, to not think of it in isolation or think of your time as insignificant, but try to recognize that, or try to find inspiration and meaning in the larger context of where we are as a society. Because I'll be the first to tell you, the folks who came before you, we don't have all the answers. And some of you are going to be the ones to address the issues that we face as a society. I remember in 2001, I was a student here on campus. I woke up late for class one morning, and so I threw my clothes on and rushed here to campus. It was a Tuesday morning in September. Stop me if you know this one. I got to class only to hear the professor make an announcement that New York City, my hometown, was ground zero for one of the worst tragedies we've seen. I'll never forget the feeling as I raced out of class trying to call home, making sure my family and friends were safe. I remember calling one relative who I knew worked in the building. She was late getting to work that day. Later on, I would find out that a mentor who helped me to obtain my first summer job as a teenager at the old Shea Stadium where the Mets used to play, he wasn't so lucky. When you think about it, it's interesting how you can go to sleep one night and you wake up and the world is a completely different place. All of a sudden, following that day, we began to think differently about how do we secure the freedoms that we have. So when I came to law school, that was one of the events that inspired me to pursue the Certificate of National Security Studies and Counterterrorism Law. Some of you are going to continue that work. You're going to continue answering or looking at tough questions surrounding the issue of how do we continue to maintain the freedoms that we have. Even now, as I stand here, I'm thinking about alumni in the field who are addressing those very issues. In 2005, when I sat in your shoes, not a month into my time here at Syracuse Law, and our Gulf Coast region was struck by Hurricane Katrina. And I'll never forget that feeling of frustration that I felt, because we had come so far as a society, and yet we couldn't figure out how to provide for the basic needs of our very own in times of crisis, not realizing that what happened in Louisiana and Mississippi could just as easily happen to us. Maybe not in the form of a hurricane, maybe in the form of a wildfire in California or a crippling snowstorm in central New York. So that event inspired me to travel down to the Gulf Coast region to spend time with volunteers working on rebuilding that region. And over the course of my career, I would find opportunities to work with organizations and leverage my expertise working with those organizations and that were figuring out ways to assist people in times of crisis. One such group was the New York State Bar Association's Committee on Mass Disaster Response, which focused on figuring out a way to marshal legal resources to folks who were in need during times of crisis. Some of you are going to find yourself in similar roles, addressing issues surrounding what's the right thing to do when people have unmet needs in times of crisis. Whether we're talking about hurricanes in Houston, Texas, or Puerto Rico, or a water crisis in Flint, Michigan. What's the right thing to do to provide for people's basic unmet needs? And how can we leverage our legal expertise to meet those needs? You think about how far we've come as a society technologically. Right now, as we're here, more information is being collected than ever before. And that information is transcending borders, it's transcending boundaries. Some of you are going to be the ones to address the issue of what's the right thing to do with that information. How do we encourage innovation and at the same time maintain the protections that are guaranteed to us under the Constitution that you're going to learn about? As you start your journey here, don't just view your time here in isolation or as insignificant. Try to contextualize this experience and find meaning and inspiration in the larger context of where we are as a society as you begin to take on a role that's going to shape where we go from here. Before I continue, I should recognize and acknowledge the Dean and the Provost and Professor Bybee and those who are here, faculty and staff, and invited alumni and guests. Thank you all for allowing me to come here and really just have a conversation with you for a brief moment. You all don't know this, but you're actually doing me a favor, because up until recently, I haven't had a chance to sit and process the fact that it's been 10 years since I graduated from Syracuse Law. For me, it's still like yesterday. That's how fresh it is in my head. But 10 years is still 10 years, and so much has transpired since then. I think about 2008, when I came out at a time when we were about to experience the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Lehman Brothers collapsed in September of that year. And all of a sudden, you want to talk about a terrible time to be a young lawyer, that was it. If you want to talk about a tough time to be a corporate lawyer, that was it. One of my earliest memories of being at the first firm, I was fortunate, having an opportunity to work during that period. One of my earliest memories was going to a reception for a partner who was retiring, and I had a chance to have a conversation with this partner off to the side, and I asked him about his career and about the successes he saw and how he was able to reach the level that he did, and he mentioned two things to me, one of which he said he focused on the relationships, but the second thing he said was he told me to be flexible because you never know when you'll have to reinvent yourself. And that was true. That was so true. And some of you think you know what you want to practice, you know what kind of law you want to go into, you know where you want to work, but I wouldn't be too wedded to those ideas because the chances that they will change are pretty strong. As I reflect on the past 10 years, there's so much I think about. think about the opportunity I've had to work with clients in the public and private sector. I think about the opportunities I've had to work with some of the organizations that the dean mentioned. Of course, I think about my peers. I'm filled with a deep sense of gratitude, and when I think about my time here in Syracuse, at Syracuse Law, and I also am filled with a deep sense of pride when I think about not only my own achievements, but the achievements of many of my peers. Right now, we're at this 10-year mark, and you can go on social media and you can see announcements of folks making partner at their respective firms. I think about those who are sitting on the bench. I think about those who have decided to toss their hat in the ring for local, state, or federal office. I think about those who have found opportunities outside of law. I've always believed, and I still do, that a law degree is probably one of the most, if not the most flexible degree you can have, because there's not an industry in the world that doesn't have a need for someone who understands the law, who can read it and interpret it. And one of the basic things we all do as lawyers is we synthesize information and we communicate complex information to audiences with varying degrees of expertise. That's a skill set that can serve you well in just about any industry. I think about those who have started families, some of whom married each other. In fact, as I'm sitting here right now, some of you probably have your eyes set on one or more individuals in this room. It's all right. We're going to be here a moment. We got 3 years. We might as well get comfortable. Loosen out. It's all right. I think about those who have added to their family. They have children. And of course, I think about those who we've lost along the way. People who aren't here to see how far we've come, but who no doubt have had an impact in our lives. You want to know something? When I reflect back on the past 10 years and all that's transpired, here's the one thing I can say without a doubt, and my peers can say this as well. We were prepared. Syracuse Law prepared us. Maybe not for everything in life, because at the end of the day, life is still life and things happen. But in terms of developing the kind of intellect that we need to think through the complex issues that we all face, we were prepared. We were prepared by the classes we took, by the professors we got to know. We were prepared by the relationships that we built, and by the experiences that we all shared. So if I could encourage you this afternoon, here's what I want you to know. You're in the right place. You might have had to sacrifice to get here. The circumstances surrounding your arrival might have been uncertain, but you're in the right place. You might be feeling uneasy at the moment, nervous, not knowing what the next 2 or 3 years are going to look like, but you're in the right place. You might have to learn a new way of studying. You will have to read more than you've ever read in your life. But you're in the right place. You might have to join a study group every now and then. You might have to leave some study groups. It's all right. You're in the right place. You might have to call home every now and then and complain about the folks to your right or to your left. Maybe complain about a faculty member, the dean, or the chancellor, whoever. It's okay. You're still in the right place. You might have to take a night or a weekend or a couple of days off. That's okay. You're in the right place. And if you stick this thing out, you're going to find yourself prepared just as we were, with the kind of intellect you need to think through the challenges that we all face. Over these next several semesters, I want you to go to class, sit up straight, lean in, and while you're at it, don't focus on what everyone else is doing. Don't focus on what grades everyone else has. Focus on what you're doing. Because I don't want you to have any doubt in your mind that if you stick this thing out and you see this thing through, you're going to walk away with the kind of intellect that you need to think through the complex issues that are defining our generation. You're in the right place. But, and there's always a but, here's the thing, and it's something you have to know. before I entrust you to the faculty and the staff here. You're going to go to class, and at the end of every semester, you're going to take an exam, and you're going to think that exam is going to define your semester. And then at the end of it all, you're going to graduate. And then you're going to spend the summer or fall or whenever studying for the bar exam. And you're going to pass the bar exam. You're going to pass the bar exam. And then you're going to think, I never have to take another exam again in my life. But that's not true, is it? Because every day we're all tested on something. We're all tested on this thing, right? It's something that I think about a lot as I approach the next decade of my career. I'll never forget, when I was an associate at Nixon, I was working late at night on a large corporate transaction. And I was sitting at my desk with a stack of papers spread out across the desk, and I was talking to a partner about some of the deal documents, and she's one of the smartest people I've ever worked with, and I still admire her to this day. And as she got up to leave, she stood at my door, and she turned around and she said this to me. She said, I know this is hard, but what you're doing is building character. And at the time, I thought it was an odd thing to say, because I didn't understand and appreciate what character had to do with that experience. But the irony of it is that what she said never left me. It's always stayed with me. I can't get it out of my head. As I continue on in my career, this word character, it's a word that it gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. It's come to the forefront. It informs how we approach our work. It informs how we approach our clients. It informs how we relate to each other. We spend so much time thinking and focusing on the what's in our lives. What are we going to do? What are we going to study? What jobs we're going to get or apply for? And oftentimes, not a lot of time spent focusing on the who. What kind of lawyers are we going to be? As you begin this process, don't just think about what you're becoming. We know what you're becoming. You're becoming lawyers. Spend a lot of time thinking about who you're becoming. And let that be a cornerstone as you lay the foundation for your careers. Because here's the thing, and listen to me closely. You all, I hope, will be successful. And even here at the College of Law, many of you will rise to the top of your class academically. But believe me when I say this, you never want to go anywhere in life where your character can't sustain you. You don't want to take on any role, any position, or any office if you don't have the character to keep you there. Understand me, I'm not saying this as someone who is perfect, I'm not. I'm not telling you this as someone who gets it right all the time, I don't. But as an observer, as a practitioner, as someone who's seen enough to know that where we often go wrong as lawyers, it's not in our intellect. It's in our character. It's in our character. So recognize that your time here is not just about building intellect. It's also about building character. Therefore, thrust yourself into what will undoubtedly be a character-building experience for you all. We're building something. And the building blocks of what it means to be a lawyer are being laid beginning today, and they're going to be the foundation of your careers for years to come. Try to contextualize this experience. I know I'm speaking at a very broad and high level at the moment, but really try to contextualize this experience. To not think of it in isolation or as insignificant, but try to find meaning and inspiration in a larger context of where we are as a society as you begin to take on roles that are going to shape where we go from here. Recognize that you're in the right place. And I don't know that there's ever been a better time to be a Syracuse law student. You have the right faculty, you have the right staff, you're at the right institution. And if you stick this thing out, if you see it through, you will walk away prepared with the kind of intellect that you need to think through the complex issues that are defining our generation as I speak. But understand, we're not just here building intellect, we're also here building character. Don't just focus on what you're becoming. Spend a lot of time thinking about who you're becoming. Because your character is going to define you in times of victory or in times of defeat, in times of success or in times of failure, in times of adversity or in times where you got the wind at your back, and in times when you're faced with ambiguity and the path forward is not clear, which, by the way, when you're an attorney, is going to be pretty often. That's why clients come to you. But you'll be prepared. I know you will. We all have a lot of work to do. All of us are architects of fate, working in the walls of this limited time that we have here. Some with massive deeds, some with great, some with ornaments of rhyme. Nothing useless is or low, each thing in its place is best. And what seems but idle show strengthens and supports the rest. For the structures that we raise, time is with materials filled. Our todays and yesterdays are the blocks with which we build. Truly shape and fashion these, leave no yawning gaps between. Think not because no man sees that such things will remain unseen. And in the elder days of art, builders wrought with greatest care each minute and unseen part, for the gods see everywhere. Let us do our work as well, both the unseen and the seen. Make the house where gods may dwell beautiful, entire, and clean. Else our lives are incomplete, standing in these walls of time, broken stairway where the feet stumbles as they seek to climb. Build today then, strong and sure, with a firm and ample base, and ascending and secure shall tomorrow find its place. Thus alone can we attain to the Tourette's where the eye sees the world as one vast plain and one boundless reach of sky. Let's get to work. Thank you.
Alumni like Paul make it a wonderful thing to be a dean here. I'd like at this time to invite our Provost, Michelle Wheatley, our speaker, Paul Dimo, Vice Dean Keith Bybee, and our Dean of Students, Zach Kelly, to join me on the main floor to introduce the Masters of Law class of 2019 and the Juris Doctor class of 2021. Students, you'll be directed by orientation leaders, so please come down with your name cards. Once introduced and greeted, you'll be presented with your orientation pin over here to the right by Student Bar Association President Erica Simonson before returning to your seat. Get this out of your way. Thanks.
Kate Batto. Aide Campa Escorza. Rickson Galvez. Erica Massler. Grace Mandry. Ali Kazma. Belle Johnson. Jordan Keel. Casey Springer. Jordan Fabergé. Matthew Cohen. Rasheev Dev Shah. Matthew Barowner. Ricardo Macias. Taylor Nunez. Carly Kaiser. Benjamin Kaufman. Audrey Beamby. Michelle Leal. Kylie Mason. Janelle Doobie. Hannah Olinger. Meredith Wallen. Catherine Herringer. Patricia Cardona. Diana Giselle Rogach. Brenna Mason. Sogand Falaatpur. Crystal Torres. Imani Diaz. Dominique Kelly. Monique Witter. Robin Evans. Kayla Wheeler. Sarah Hansen. Jessica Wauer. Mariah Almonte. Elise Richards. Susan Mintz. Skylar Salem. Sheridan Sue. Kevin Urbatus. Brianna Ferranti. Shannon Wagner. Jacqueline Chilbert. Wendy Carter. Madeline Cardona. Elizabeth Haraka. Nicole Venator. Jordan Broadbent. Jenna Amick. Benjamin Anderson. Victoria Lizette. Lefteri Giacimus. John Mercurio. Robert Bowerly. Shay Malloy. Tricia Basu. Brianna Clayton. Timothy Murphy. Brian Shepard. Natalie Wynn. Michaela Mancini. Cece Sayan. Jose Archia Cases. Thomas Finnegan. Gregory Brown. Trevor Doherty. Zachary Slotkin. Elizabeth Hefner. Ashley Ludwig. Aaron Cooper. Tyler Jeffries. Monica Rar. Chelsea Simpson. Matthew Fiberts. Dweej Patel. Anoop Kalon. Jacob Saraceno. Zara Saleh. Annette Scott. Britt Brulard. William Rankin. Joseph Salato. Henry Shaw. Christian Gonzalez. Kimberly Manis. Oren Miller. Allison Kowalczyk. Alexandra Casey. Jessica Joseph. Evan DeCastro. Hart Schwartz. Max Hubsher, sorry. Gabriel Diaz. Ethan Song. Brian Harris. Francis Rivera Reyes. Shannon Armstrong. Christy O'Neill. Aaron Hefferman. Hannah Gabbard. Clee Malfitano. Brooke Schroyer. Lee Sue Liu. Morgan Mendenhall. Marissa Thomas. Beth L. Thomas. Justin Crisafulli. Audrey Fick. Viviana Bro. Alexa Savalas James. Alexandra Romano. Chandler Jacobs. Zoe Zogby. Emily Koshevitz. Troy Parker. Melissa Barute. Nadia Abed. Danielle Perez. Patrick Shagosian. Brandon Baker. Evan Pfeiffer. Lisa Cole. Kirka Rocky. Caitlin Crowbar. Robert Bollert. Peter Matar. David Carroll. Jeffrey Mazes. Sergio Rumayor. Dustin Dorsino. Jake Gellerstein. Sophia Feliciano. Sohaila Suri. Lily Heigl. Christine Biley View. Sharon Otasoe. Orina Obiama. Kenneth D. Knight. Nabil Akil. Kajana Crawford. Thomas Harrington. Corey Lind. Travis Swanson. Michael Stoyanov. Brian Young. Nicholas Williams. Kelly Ristoff. Nimisha Pereira. Katie Lee. Jeffrey Hong. Anna Goodell. Savaraj Gill. Nikia Knudsen. Diane Jahangani. Andrew Rosenfeld. Joseph Tantillo. Alexander Eaton. That's okay. Connor Bowers. Benjamin Holtzman. Christopher Doak. Richard Pascarella. Jillian Pasqua. Rita Cabaz. Maria Freitas. Renee Nouri. Alexandra Calhoun. Jane Skinner. Raymond Butenkant. Roland Lindmeyer. Ivan Zyberberg. Sorry. Liliana Castillo. Shane Kelly. James Tyden. Ryan Thompson. Charles Keenley. Shannon Bossinger. Ann Sia, sorry. Nikolai Tillman. Ahmad Al-Zamel. Songling Zhang. Syed Gilani. Jordan Spicer. Alexander Beharan Estevez. Chikari Smith. Payne Horning. George Dowd. Okay. Johannes Zawale. Amar Jaradat. Hamokshi Shah. Batul Mufre. Luis Delor. Ju Hee Kong. Lenita Simayo. Juliana Pereira. Luis Palacio Filho. Yasmin Isa. Eler Rogalva. Kate Halenko. Eli Obanja. Sorry. Haleta Fiseha. Michelle Raffinomanjato. Diego Milanez Andros. Rodrigo Mellet. Amandu Jiang. Francisco Ticio Quesada. Matthew Marciniak. Ryan Martin, thanks. Luciola Gomides Dutra. Ingrid Alfani. Michelle Wang. Ri Kawasaki. Alexandra Carvalho. Ali Alhamed. Hassan Ahmed. Fatima Al-Buhani. Chiora Taktakshvili.
Unlike our distinguished convocation speaker, I have notes, and I will be following them to the letter. Welcome and congratulations to each of our new students, both Master of Laws class of 2019 and Juris Doctor class of 2021. By your earnestness of purpose, your diligence, and your talent, you have earned the privilege of being a member of our newly admitted class. Today, you officially commence your professional education. In recognition of the seriousness of this undertaking, I now ask that you stand and join in reading the Oath of Professional Education. Please refer to your program for the words that you and I will recite together. As I commence my studies at Syracuse University College of Law, I undertake to hold myself to a rigorous standard of personal integrity and adhere to it faithfully. Never forget, even for an instant, that I am embarking on a professional journey in which I will be a trusted member of the Syracuse University community. I shall strive to broaden my knowledge of the law and of other disciplines with which the law intersects in these modern times. I shall cultivate creativity and an open mind and be receptive to new ideas while attentive to the principles of our legal heritage. I shall be courteous to all, be they classmates, faculty, administrators, strangers, or adversaries, and treat all with unfailing tolerance and respect. I shall respect and uphold the Honor Code of Syracuse University College of Law and the ethical rules and standards of the legal profession, the dignity of our judicial system, and the principles of the United States Constitution. Thank you. Having read the oath together, I now have the pleasure of welcoming you as Master of Laws class of 2019 and Juris Doctor class of 2021 at Syracuse University College of Law. Congratulations.
Before we close this afternoon's ceremony, I'd like to acknowledge a couple of groups. I'd like to acknowledge our peer mentors. This is a group of students, 2 and 3Ls, who volunteer their time to engage with our new 1Ls and LLM students to help acclimate you to the environment here at the College of Law and help you along your journey throughout this first year. So could I have all the peer student leaders please stand? Peer mentors will be very much a part of everything that happens for the rest of this week, so you'll see a lot of them. I'd also like to acknowledge, again, the group that is up in the atrium and would ask that you all give them a hand. I imagine these are loved ones and friends and families. As you might imagine, a ceremony like this cannot happen without the work of a lot of dedicated people, and I'd like to acknowledge some of those today. The Dean of Advancement External Affairs, Sophie Desjardins, and her staff. The Dean of Enrollment Management, Danae Page, and her staff. The Director of, Finance and Administration, Heidi Hart-Gorman. And especially the Director of Facilities and Events, Sarah Valenti. Thank you all again, and a warm welcome from me to all of you.
We're almost done. We have also enjoyed the music this afternoon of the very talented Clinton Street Quartet. Please join me in acknowledging their part in our program. I now have some instructions for all of you students. Before we close our convocation proceedings this afternoon, I would like to explain how we will exit this courtroom. The official party on the bench will exit first, followed by College of Law faculty, staff, and alumni. Please use the lower doors to exit the courtroom. The students will remain in the courtroom to have their convocation photo, their class photo, taken. You will be directed by orientation leaders who will be positioned along the aisles, and make your way down to the floor level of the courtroom. Please move quickly through this process so that we may move directly to celebrating your entrance into the study of law with your friends, family, and the staff, faculty of the College of Law. In the Levy Atrium, congratulations again to the LLM class of 2019, the Juris Doctor class of 2021. Please join us for the reception, which will be our first of many celebrations together. Thank you.